NASCAR did not just question Shane van Gisbergen, they opened a formal investigation into his COTA tire data and called it a cheating scandal. That is not a rumor from a rival team. That is NASCAR putting it in writing. And now everything SVG said after that race means nothing. NASCAR called it a cheating scandal, not the media, not a rival team, not some frustrated driver venting after a bad result. NASCAR itself opened a formal investigation into the tire data from Shane van Gisbergen's car at COTA, and the moment that became official, SVG's entire season changed overnight. Because here is what people do not understand about a NASCAR investigation. They do not open one casually. These are not political moves. These are not reactions to social media pressure or paddock gossip. The people running technical compliance at NASCAR have seen every trick, every gray area, every creative interpretation of the rulebook that teams have tried across decades of racing. When they decide something is worth a formal investigation, there is a reason, and that reason has SVG's name on it. Think about where he was before this dropped. He had already been through the fire at COTA, the race where Tyler Reddick dominated. The race where SVG's own data became a conversation inside the 23XI garage. The whispers were already there, from rivals, from engineers, from people who looked at what his car was doing through those corners and said that does not add up. SVG fought back. He gave interviews. He pushed the narrative in his direction. He was managing it. Then NASCAR made it official and took every bit of that control away from him in one announcement. You could feel the shift the moment it went public, because now this is not SVG against rumors anymore. This is SVG against a process, and those are two completely different fights. Against rumors, you can talk your way out. Against a formal NASCAR cheating investigation, you need clean data. Data that holds up under the hardest scrutiny this sport has to offer. Data that does not just look clean on the surface, but survives every layer of technical review NASCAR's team puts it through. Does SVG have that? Does 23XI have that? That question is sitting at the center of everything right now. And honestly, there is a second layer here that goes way beyond tire data and investigation reports. Because what NASCAR just did does not only damage SVG, it changes the power dynamic inside 23XI racing in a way that nobody is ready to talk about yet. If this sport runs through your blood the way it runs through mine, stay right here, because this story gets much heavier before it gets lighter. Hit like and subscribe, because this is exactly the kind of NASCAR moment that deserves a real conversation between people who actually understand what is at stake. Back to SVG, because Furious does not even begin to cover his reaction. Sources inside the garage described the moment the investigation went official as something nobody wanted to be near. This is a world champion. A man who built his entire identity around being fast, legitimately fast, through pure skill, preparation, and racecraft across multiple disciplines at the highest levels of motorsport on 3 different continents. And now his name is attached to a formal NASCAR cheating scandal investigation. That is not just a professional problem. That hits at the core of who he is as a competitor, and SVG is not the kind of man who takes that quietly. Let us be precise about what this investigation actually means, because a lot of people are getting this wrong, and the wrong version is spreading faster than the right one. An investigation into tire data is not a guilty verdict. NASCAR has not called SVG a cheater in writing. They have not penalized 23XI. They have not stripped a result or docked points. What they have done is looked at the numbers from his car at COTA and decided, officially, that those numbers need a deeper explanation than what the team has already provided. That distinction is real, but it does not make SVG's situation any easier to survive. Because in the court of public opinion, which in NASCAR moves about 20 times faster than any official process ever could, the investigation itself is the headline. People do not wait for results. They do not read the fine print. They see NASCAR cheating scandal and SVG in the same sentence, and the line gets drawn immediately. Right or wrong, that line exists now, and it does not erase easily. SVG knows this. Which is exactly why his reaction crossed from controlled to furious the moment the formal process began. He was managing the story. He had a version of events he was pushing, and then NASCAR stepped in and made his version irrelevant. Now look at what this does to 23XI Racing as an organization. Michael Jordan's team is in an incredibly uncomfortable position right now. They cannot aggressively defend SVG because if the investigation finds something real, that defense becomes a massive liability. But they cannot distance themselves from him either, because he is their driver, their investment, their guy inside the car every single weekend. So they walk the line, carefully worded statements, measured language, let the process play out. But here is what nobody is talking about yet. This cheating scandal investigation does not just affect SVG's reputation. It puts a shadow directly over Tyler Reddick's COTA victory. Think about that carefully. Reddick won COTA, he dominated. He drove one of the best performances of his season and came away with a result that validated everything 23XI has been building. And now, there is an active NASCAR cheating scandal investigation into his teammate's car from that exact same race weekend. Same garage, same engineering group. Same data pipeline feeding both cars. NASCAR opening this investigation forces every analyst, every rival team, every journalist, whether they say it publicly or not, to ask the same question about the entire 23XI operation at COTA. Reddick's win does not disappear. But the shadow over that weekend just got longer and darker, and that is devastating for a team that was finally getting the recognition it deserved. 23XI was supposed to be the story of the spring, the team that arrived, the team William Byron himself admitted was better everywhere. Now instead of sitting on top of that narrative, they are managing an active cheating scandal while trying to keep two drivers focused and a garage from fracturing at its foundation. The hot take is this: NASCAR did not just open an investigation into tire data. They handed every rival team in this garage a weapon that has no expiration date. Because now when XI shows up fast at any track for the rest of this season, someone is going to point at COTA. Someone is going to whisper. Someone is going to file a report. That is the real damage, not the investigation itself. The precedent it sets for how every fast lap 23XI turns gets watched from this point forward. Here is where this gets truly uncomfortable for everyone involved. SVG came into 2026 carrying enormous expectations. World champion, 23XI's headline international signing, the driver who was supposed to prove that elite talent from other disciplines could translate at the highest level of American stock car racing. The early story of his season was compelling on its own. How does he adapt to ovals? How does he handle the specific politics of this garage and this series? How does he develop the racecraft that Cup racing demands in ways that nothing in his previous career prepared him for? That was the story everyone wanted to watch. Instead, the story is a cheating scandal. That is a brutal pivot for any driver. For a driver still finding his footing in a brand new series with a brand new set of pressures, it is potentially season-defining in the worst possible way, because adaptation requires confidence. It requires a team that is fully behind you and a garage culture that lifts you. And right now, even if this investigation closes with a completely clean result, SVG has to climb into the car at every upcoming race, knowing that every fast lap he turns will be examined through a different lens than it was before COTA. That psychological weight does not disappear between race weekends. The championship picture for 23XI gets complicated here too. This team needs clean racing, clean results, and clean headlines to build the kind of regular season momentum that makes a serious playoff run possible. Every week spent managing a cheating scandal narrative is a week not spent building that momentum. Every press conference question about COTA tire data is a question that should have been about upcoming track preparation. Distraction costs points in this sport. The teams that win championships eliminate distractions. They do not manage them through an entire summer, and right now 23XI is managing one of the biggest distractions any team has faced this season. SVG being furious is the correct response from a clean driver. A world champion who knows his car was legal should be furious when NASCAR formalizes a cheating scandal investigation around him. Anger means he has not accepted the narrative. Anger means he is fighting, but anger does not close investigations. Data does. And whatever that tire data reveals, whatever NASCAR's technical team finds when they go through every number from that COTA weekend, that result is going to define SVG's 2026 season more than any race result he puts on the board. If the data is clean, SVG gets to say he told everyone so. That anger becomes rocket fuel for the best second half of a season any driver has put together in years. If it is not clean, everything changes. For SVG, for 23XI, for Reddick's COTA win. For Michael Jordan's team and the entire story they have been building since day one. The investigation is open. The data is being reviewed. NASCAR has inserted itself directly into the most explosive storyline of the 2026 season. And nobody, not SVG, not 23XI, not NASCAR itself, knows how this ends yet. So tell me what you actually think. Does SVG come out of this investigation completely clean and use this cheating scandal as the chip on his shoulder that drives the best racing of his Cup Series career? Or does the damage inside the 23XI garage already outlast whatever the official result turns out to be? Drop it in the comments right now, because this one genuinely has no clean answer. And if you have been following this SVG and 23XI cheating scandal story from the beginning, you already know this is where the real conversation lives. Hit like, leave your take below. And subscribe, because this series is not done, and the next chapter is coming sooner than anyone expects.